Jason Voorhees' hockey mask, Freddy Krueger's claw glove, Michael Myers' pale white mask, Anthony Della Calce's goatee. These are all things that strike fear into the general population. And today, on Brad Carroll's Game Day, we celebrate all things that terrify in this special Halloween edition. Anthony, I hope you're not frightened sitting next to me, but I do know who should be, and that's anyone who would listen to your or Craig Carroll's selections each week. Both of you went a downright petrifying 3-4 against the spread. Myself, well, much like the hero in all horror movies, I thrived and survived, going 5-2 to distance myself from the pack.
First of all, you don't look anything like the hero in a horror movie. You look like the guy who dies first. But if my 3-4 is petrifying, then what was your 0-7? Yeah, I know, that's the only thing I got to bust you on, so I'm just going to keep going to it until I find something else.
The only thing scarier than Anthony and Craig's picks this season has been the curse surrounding a team dubbed #1 in the country. 1 week it was Alabama, then Ohio State the next, and last week it was Oklahoma, the top team in the BCS, that joined the scrap heap of college football teams left for dead after losses.
We'll find out later what we think is going to happen to the #1 team this week, but I will tell you this, by the end of the regular season, no team, I repeat, no team from a BCS conference will be undefeated.
Wow. Of course, the #1 team in the human poll stayed there after a rout of UCLA last week. Oregon played the part of hero by surviving as the top team in the nation. The Ducks, of course, strike fear into the opposition more than any other team in the country, except for, possibly, the Auburn Tigers, which was finally able to slay the living dead known as LSU. You have to love the supernatural offenses at Oregon and Auburn.
Yeah, and at Auburn it starts with Cam Newton. We continue to talk about him because he continues to make plays. But Oregon, they average a whopping 55 points a game, tops in the nation. Simply unbelievable and scary for every defense going against them.
Hopefully Anthony and Craig will be able to put their struggles behind them and join me on the winning side. So let's kick the week off right now. 7 games, 7 picks, here we go. 5th-ranked Michigan State, which pulled off a great comeback victory over Northwestern last week, travels to number 18 Iowa as 6.5-point underdogs. The Spartans are on an unbelievable roll this season, but after a few close calls, this could be the time the Spartans finally suffer their first defeat.
Yeah, the Spartans had another close call last week, had to come back against Northwestern. A big reason why, quarterback Kirk Cousins, he's impressed me all season long. His counterpart is also pretty talented. Ricky Stanzi for Iowa almost led a game-winning drive himself, but Iowa fell 1 point short against Wisconsin. They won't do that this week. They won't lose 2 in a row. Michigan State's been a great story. They'll continue to be a great story, but a great story with 1 loss. Iowa gets it done 23-22.
Yeah, this very simply is going to be the game that knocks Michigan State out of the running for a national championship. Iowa, which lost last week to Wisconsin, won't lose another game at home, especially here with something to prove against an undefeated conference opponent. Iowa 28, Michigan State 20. Staying in the Big Ten, Michigan travels to Penn State as 3-point favorites. These two conference rivals may both be unranked this season, but that doesn't mean this game is any less important to the teams or college football fans across the nation. No matter the records, it's still Michigan, Penn State.
Yeah, a huge game in prime time in Happy Valley in front of what's sure to be a raucous crowd, a raucous student section. Great environment for Matt McGloin of Penn State to make his first career start. He came in last week when the starter went out injured, did a great job, helped Penn State get their offense on track and win a game against Minnesota. Not good news for Michigan's defense, which has struggled all year. Denard Robinson's still great, but until Michigan figures out on defense, it's not going to work. Michigan, 3rd straight loss. Penn State gets it done 30-23.
I'm actually a little surprised Michigan is the favorite in this game at Happy Valley, but that proves exactly how bad the Nittany Lions have been this season. Michigan has lost 2 in a row after a 5-0 start, but the Wolverines will do everything in their power not to have a repeat of last year's collapse. With quarterback Denard Robinson running the show, the Wolverines won't let that happen, and will get a big win on the road. Michigan 34, Penn State 28.
Wow. I hear the music.
He almost interrupted my Michigan.
He's left his statement on the desk. Fittingly for a Halloween special, the evil one leaves his statement. Here we go, sir.
Here we go. Craig Carroll's statement. I'm going to read it right now. Okay, so another not-so-good week for me at 3-4, but I promised all my people out there that I will turn it around starting this week. As for the 2 tie-wearing, head-bopping fools, it's about time you classed up my show. Now people might take you as seriously as they do me.
When is this guy going to actually make an appearance on his so-called show?
We'll see. As for their picks, Anthony went 3-4. What else is new? To the viewers, have fun deciding which 3 games he will pick right this week.
He went 3-4 too, so I'm just going to leave that one alone.
Brad extended his lead to 3 games with a 5-2 record. While impressive, I will say to him just as Anthony did last week, you went 0-7. Ha, ha.
Yeah, that's kind of what we got against you, so we're going to keep using it.
On to my picks. Oregon, giving 7. Auburn, giving 7. Iowa, giving 6.5. Michigan, giving 3. Oklahoma, giving 23.5. Georgia, giving 2.5. And he says a special note, let's see if Brad sticks to his take the opponent against Georgia in a big game theory.
I guess we'll find out later.
And for my game of the week, the Missouri Tigers go to Lincoln to take on the Cornhuskers as 7.5-point underdogs. Every year there's a team that comes from nowhere to have one of those special seasons, and I think Missouri is that team. Missouri wins in an upset, 28-24.
Gutsy call. Missouri's feeling great after their win against Oklahoma. They're all on this big high. Now they have to go into Nebraska, which, oh, by the way, hung 51 points on previously undefeated Oklahoma State last week. The Taylor Martinez-led Huskers, normally the Huskers known for their defense, while the offense is doing the yeoman's work this year. They're 10th in the nation in scoring. Missouri, however, 4th in the nation in points allowed, so that'll be an interesting matchup. I don't think Missouri has, the ability to get up 2 weeks in a row for another big game. Nebraska, second straight week, they knock off an undefeated 40-33 high-scoring affair.
Missouri impressed me a whole lot last week with its victory over Oklahoma. I didn't believe the Tigers could pull out the win, but they actually dominated the Sooners. But this matchup with Nebraska will be a tougher test for the Tigers, as they have to win on the road in a hostile environment. Nebraska is a big favorite, and while I think Missouri will be in the game the whole way, the Cornhuskers will have enough to hold on for the victory. Nebraska, 33, Missouri, 30. Speaking of Oklahoma, the 11th ranked Sooners host Colorado Saturday night as 23.5-point favorites. Besides its win over Florida State, Oklahoma has been very ordinary this season and have finally caught up with the Sooners in their loss to Missouri. Colorado could be the perfect opponent to bounce back against them.
Yeah, I think they are the perfect opponent. Oklahoma has been very ordinary, even though it took them until last week to get their first loss. But here's a great matchup for them. Oklahoma should be up for the game after their disappointing loss. They should want to bounce back. Here comes a Colorado team that's just not very good. And Oklahoma's still a pretty good team. They get it done. No problems here, 38-20.
Yeah, I agree. Colorado hasn't won a big game this season in the Big 12 and will be starting backup quarterback Cody Hawkins, which plays right into the hands of the Oklahoma defense. Of course, the only question here is whether or not Oklahoma can put up enough points to cover the big spread. I believe they will. Oklahoma 52, Colorado 24. Next is an SEC matchup featuring number 3 Auburn traveling to Ole Miss as 7-point favorites. Auburn is being talked about as a legitimate national championship contender, and quarterback Cam Newton leads the race for the Heisman Trophy, so the Tigers have all the momentum going into this matchup.
They do have all the momentum, but here it is. I've talked about them before. Another trap game. Conference game on the road against a decent opponent. Ole Miss gave Arkansas a battle last week, and Auburn is used to playing in close games. They win, but all their conference games have been decided by about an average of 8 points. Jeremiah Masoli, Ole Miss's quarterback, has them with the ability to score a pretty good amount of points. Of course, Cam Newton's in a class by himself at the quarterback position. That's why he leads the Heisman race. He will not let Auburn lose. They will remain undefeated for now. They win this game 28-24.
Ole Miss will pose a threat in this game as the Rebels run and throw the ball very well, with former Oregon quarterback Jeremiah Masoli leading the way. Auburn's defense has been good against the pass. In fact, the Tigers' pass defense is ranked 101st in the country. Not too good. Still, I'm not jumping off the Auburn bandwagon just yet. Newton continues to cement his Heisman chances with a big win on the road. Auburn 30, Ole Miss 20. Next is the second of our 2 games featuring unranked but well-known teams. Florida and Georgia play a big rivalry game Saturday afternoon, with the Bulldogs standing as 2.5-point favorites. Both teams have obviously struggled this season.
Yeah, they have. Both teams already have 3 losses. They're used to vying for a spot in the SEC championship game. The matchup previously known as the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Well, most of these fans for both teams have been drowning their sorrows in cocktails after watching them play this season. I don't think it's going to have much significance, but here's the difference. Florida's lost 3 straight. Georgia has won 3 straight. Look for A.J. Green to make big plays at the wide receiver position. Georgia 27-20. They keep the momentum rolling in the second half of the season.
Yeah, this is a hard game to gauge, and maybe it's based all on reputation, but I just don't see the Gators losing this game. So Florida gets the victory. Florida 23, Georgia 21. Finally, the top-ranked Oregon Ducks travel to number 24 Southern Cal as 7-point favorites. Even though the Trojans are down this season, that doesn't mean they won't pose a huge threat to the explosive Ducks Saturday night.
Yeah, you know, I've gone back and forth on this game. We talked about Oregon's offense at the top of the show. They're dominant. Everyone should fear them. But USC, they're very close to being undefeated. They've lost 2 games by 3 points, both on field goals at the very end of the game. So this should be a close game. Matt Barkley's already thrown 20 touchdown passes. The USC offense is pretty good. But all this talk about offense, what's it going to come down to? The defenses. Here's a little secret most people may not know. Oregon is 12th in the country in scoring defense. They only allow about 16 points per game. That's the difference in this one. Oregon has no problems. Everyone thinks they could get upset in this game. They win. They make a big statement in Los Angeles, 40-20.
You know, Oregon is the best team in the nation for a reason, and that means an upset won't happen here. Oregon keeps the top spot in the rankings with a big victory over Southern Cal. Oregon 45, Southern Cal 30. With that, we wrap up our special Halloween edition of Brad Carroll's Game Day. Be sure to check out the print version every Saturday in the pages of the Bristol Press and New Britain Herald on my blog at bradcarrollgameday.blogspot.com. And don't forget College Game Day Rewind exclusively on my blog. For Anthony, I'm Brad, and we'll see you next week.
Enjoy your Halloween, folks.